Hello, this is Carrie Mubarak at wooingnature.life. I hope you're having a great day. Fire signs. This is Get This Money for November 2019. So this thread, this playlist is all about getting your money, making sure your money is right. People got a lot of issues with money. They're trying to either get some money or get more money, or they're really struggling and having to go through all kinds of things to make their money work for them. There's always another way. So if you have been trying a certain kind of way to get your money and it hasn't been happening, it's another way that you need to tap into. And so what this line is going to talk about is not only money, but also wealth and value and self-worth and everything else, because we're looking at blending the spiritual and the material, which is a really high, lofty ideal, because the word says that it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the gates of heaven. So, when we start talking about getting money, we got to look at all of those things. We have to look at our attachments to money. We have to look at negative and positive attachments to money. And then we also have to know our own worth and our self-worth and where our wealth resides, because everybody's wealth is different. We don't want to look outside of ourselves trying to find what we need to find on the inside. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I will be reading from the I Ching. I tickle myself with that. But anyway, we're going to be reading from the I Ching. I thought that that would be an appropriate medium for dealing with money for the time being until I get my money cards that should be on the way. And then we'll also go to the tarot. So again, this is for my fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So I'll do a general read for all air signs, and then we'll break it down by your zodiac sign for that element, and then we'll take the tarot, and the tarot will finish us up and give us some more details, some other things for you to think about. So I'll be reading directly from the I Ching text as the divination method requires. So there'll be some reading in this. You'll have to sit and listen, and that's a good thing, because listening to the reading, things will jump out for you, and then things will jump out for me as well. All right, fire signs. Your passage is number 27, and number 27 relates to nourishment. So when we start talking about finances, and we start talking about money, and we start talking about inner wealth, then fire signs, for the month of November, you need to be thinking about nourishment. So your money as nourishment and nourishment as money. This sign stands for bodily nourishment as much as spiritual nourishment. So when we're talking about bodily nourishment, we're talking about food and water and that kind of thing. But since we're talking about money, we're just going to say that that's your finances, because body represents the physical, and the physical can encompass many things, from health to wealth to money to house to anything that's of the earthly nature, things that you have to be able to survive on planet Earth. Okay, so but right now, for the purposes of this reading, we're talking about financial nourishment. So it's this sign, this symbol stands for the marrying or the blending of the financial and the spiritual. If you want to cast judgment on someone, then look at the focus of his or her attention and the aspect of existence this person nourishes. So when you're looking at other people and you're examining their wealth status, you look at where their attention is focused or where the wealth is focused, and that'll tell you something about who they are. So it says to look at focus of their attention and the aspect of existence that this person is actually nourishing. That's really important. All right, someone who bothers about things unworthy of attention and becomes preoccupied by them will be of little use to you. And not to pass judgment, some people are focused on other things, and you're focused on one thing, they're focused on another thing. And so if they're not focused on the same thing that you're focused on, then you should probably not focus on their thing. All right, but someone who has a higher objective in mind, you will have something valuable. No, but someone who has a higher objective in mind will have something valuable to offer you. You too should appear stimulating and encouraging when it comes to relating to other people. So, fire signs, your energy, your fire energy that you come with and that you operate with anyway, use that energy in space with people, because how you are is going to attract who you need to come towards you. And then these connection with these people is going to help you to discern what it is that you're getting into and what is it that you're not getting into, because again, money is about energy. Money is energy in and of itself, and the flow of money, money be going fast, so it's a very high energy um, thing. It's a very high energy construct. And so it's constantly moving. It's constantly moving. And we all have experienced that. If you're poor and you get money, and as soon as you get the money, it's gone. And then at the same time, even if you have a lot of money, it's gone. So it's a very high energy thing. And because of that, you being high energy, fire signs, you can really kind of go with it. And you all would be the people that be able to really flow with it quite well and quite easily. You just got to be your effervescent self. And then you'll start to draw those folks towards you. Now, once the people start coming towards you is when you're going to start doing your discernment. Your discernment is about, okay, this person is talking about something that doesn't mean anything to me. It's not feeding me. It's not nourishing my dream or my vision or what it is that I'm trying to do as far as making sure that my pocket is good. It's not doing that. So if it's not going to do that, then I'm going to cut that loose and start paying attention to the things that are going to do that for me. So it's a relationship and it's a connection, fire signs, that you're going to want to be paying attention to in November. All right, so your changing lines come from passage 29, and it looks like those changing lines are number 1, number 2, number 5, and number 6. 1, 2, 5, and 6. Now, these are I don't want to, well, kind of supplemental passages, or these get a little deeper, so to speak. And so when you look at your changing lines, it says to read these lines in your passage, because that'll give you further. Oh, it's really starting to fall apart now. Oh, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Okay, hopefully it will become a folder after a while. And then we'll have to go to the big I Ching book, and that one's deep. So, I don't know. That'll be an hour-long video. I don't want to have to go there. Trying to use the abridged version. All right, so 1, 2, 5, and 6. The first line. Oh, I was saying these messages, some of them may resonate with some of you. Some of them may resonate with others. You may resonate with all of them. Just take what you get from the passage. You are a strong line 1. You are a strong and capable person, but you become dissatisfied when you see others who are even more powerful than you. Well, it's not that they're more powerful than you. They're just doing something different. So again, when we're talking about money and we're talking about finances and we're talking about it in relationship to nourishment, then when you are focusing your attention on somebody else's wealth, then you are putting your attention and your energy into their wealth, but not in your own. So you have to think about that. You have to think about that. Number 2, you are actually in a position to be independent, but instead you prefer to let others care for you. Now, in that situation, the nourishment is coming from somewhere else. You are putting yourself in a position to be dependent upon someone else's pot, and you don't want to be dependent. Being dependent on somebody else, you are attaching to their wealth. You are attaching, again, to what their standard is and not your own. So how do you know that you being dependent on somebody else to make that happen for you? Their pot could be a lot smaller than your pot. So you have to go and you have to understand where your wealth exists and where your value exists. And then you'll be able to see whether or not you should continue to depend on this other person for your finances or for your well-being, or whether you should move on, because there could be a greater pot of gold for you at the end of the rainbow, and you don't want to be, shorting yourself. Number 5, you want to take care of everyone and everything, but lack sufficient strength. That's when all the nourishment is going out, 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 out. You're giving, 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 but nothing to yourself. So that's the scenario that some of you all are in. So I can't seem to keep any money. Well, that's because you're always giving it, giving it, giving it, giving it. There's nothing wrong with giving. They say it's better to give than to receive. However, there is a such thing as too much of anything. And if you are giving, 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 and your pot is empty, then you have to pull that back and start thinking about doing something else, giving to yourself, feeding your own cup, pouring into your own cup. Line 6, you can act as a model for other people, rise to the occasion, and you can achieve great happiness for yourself and for your companions. Now, in line 6, that's when you are nourishing in balance. You are nurturing and nourishing your own self. You are also in the act of giving and receiving. You are utilizing those people who are around you. You are discerning whether or not you should get involved or not getting involved. When you are doing all of those things, then not only will you be able to draw that wealth into you, but you'll also be an example of how to do that with others. And then you can share that information. I don't know, become a consultant, whatever, that kind of thing. So anyway, fire signs, that's in general what you need to be thinking about for the month of November. Think about nourishment, your money and nourishing. How are you nourishing others? And then how are you nourishing yourself? And then also, how are you nurturing and nourishing your own talents? And then how are you valuing those talents? And then how are you feeding into those talents that you have inside yourself? And as you're feeding into that, then you can start accessing these places where the money exists in relationship to that, because your value and all of that is all together. It's all together. It's not separated. You're all one. You're one circulating cipher, and all of it is together. All of that goes together. All right, so we're going to jump right into Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Aries, you got the well. I love this. Is one of my favorite cards. It's about the well being a never-ending, always flowing resource for nourishment. Water, what is water if it isn't nourishment? We all need it. So that water, that nourishment that is in you, it's in you. It's not outside of you. It's actually inside of you. So where your wealth comes from, it comes from inside you. So you got to look inside yourself at what you have a wealth of. What do you have a lot of? Is it love? Is it ideas? Is it information? Certain kinds of information? But that information is what's going to lead you to your wealth. I'll go ahead and read the passage because I know I want you to hear it for yourself. The well symbolizes a deep and inexhaustible fullness of being from which every person creates meaning in life. So it's also about being able to create meaning in your life, and your wealth is tied to that. Your wealth is tied to having meaning in your life. See, not everybody's wealth is attached to that, but Aries, yours is, at least for the month of November. It represents the fundamental and unchanging needs of humanity. We need to find the source of our true nature in order to reach fulfillment. To this end, we are led by intuitive understanding rather than reason. So you're being led intuitively. That's why they're saying that about creating meaning. This is about meaning. It's not just about let me get this money. It's not just about that. It's about creating meaning. And so therefore, this path that you're on is not about thinking your way through it. It's about feeling your way through it and understanding humanity and the human spirit. We understand the boundless variety of the human spirit by feeling. Clarify your real desires, yearnings, and needs. So be clear about your real desire, what you're really wanting, and what you need, and then know the differences between the three. Push on ahead to the real and true values of life rather than sticking to the superficial norms. In your inner core lies the source of your strength and your clarity. And so from that, I am seeing and getting that these are the ideas, these are the things that you've tried. There's lots of things that you have tried to do and haven't worked out as well, and that has left you with like a disappointing feeling about that. But this is the balance that you're looking for. This is what you're searching for. This is why these things weren't working for you, because you had to be able to understand that that's coming from inside of you, and then also you had to be able to understand that that there is a connection between that and humanity, and between that your wealth and being able to create something meaningful. There has to be meaning. You can't just be for whatever reasons. It's just not going to happen. All right, so moving right along to the Leo, you had card number 3. This always reminds me of a ship coming in, even though it's not, that's not its meaning. It talks about difficult beginnings, but when you get out, when the ship leaves the shore, that's the start of the journey. And when it comes in, then you're really, really happy. So this card symbolizes difficult beginnings. The sign stands for intense, chaotic fullness and excessive struggle for complexity in vulnerable relationships. Here too lies your chance. Okay, so there's opportunity here. If you remain true to your principles, you will master this difficult period and learn how to make good use of it. So if you're running through a difficult time financially, you got to look at it. It is a struggle for a reason, but it's really about being vulnerable and in your relationships with other people. Now, this is kind of reminding me of that moment when you need to ask for something, you want something and you need to ask for it, but that puts you in a vulnerable position, because now you have to ask and you have to be open to rejection and stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know if that's, what you're feeling from it, but that's what I'm feeling from it. It is crucial to work tirelessly to bring order to that confusion. Try not to force things. Accept great change, even if it's accompanied by growing pains. Have faith that the future order lies in the confusion of a new beginning. So there are new things underway. There are new things underway now for you in terms of your finances, in terms of being able to acquire your wealth, but it's going to require you to be a little bit vulnerable. Now, Leo, I know that's really hard for you, because Leos like to be on top of their game, and they also need to be like to be at the head of the curve, and they like to be in a position of leadership. But if you're in a situation where you have to get in touch with your vulnerabilities in order to be able to access your wealth, then that's going to be a struggle for you for sure. It may be difficult for you. Have faith in the future order. Have faith that future order lies in the confusion of the new beginning. This does not mean waiting passively for everything to happen. Don't have to wait passively. Rather, that you should actively deal with it by using motivation and measured force. Now, you're good at. Motivation and measured force, you're good at. So utilize that, and you will then achieve a satisfactory result. So I think that really it's about dealing with that vulnerable space, but knowing that you have that energy, Leo, to push through that, to take that vulnerable moment and turn it into a power moment for yourself. And by doing that, you're turning up the power that exists between you and the wealth that you're looking for outside of yourself. So I do see that sensitivity there with the King of Cups. I also see in here with the Five of Cups that there has been some loss, some disappointment, but you just got to, honor your blessings in that. And then things will come through for you. I see this as being like a symbol of all that is. So it looks like it's coming. I like that circle there and the circle here. I like to look at symbolic things too. And so that circle of life, that cycle of life that you're in right now, you'll just come right back around to the beginning again and get back on top of your game. But this process is very important, because that is a part of it. Um, um, you can't start talking about, acquiring things, um, and to a greater degree, because everybody wants more money, right? But that's more energy, and so you have to be able to deal with that. And there's always two sides to that coin. Always two sides of the coin. So vulnerability, and people will tell you, people who are famous or famous actors or singers, that they had to deal with rejection so many times. Like, so they got used to rejection to where rejection didn't mean anything. So your vulnerabilities, get kind of, you get used to it. You get accustomed to it. And when you get accustomed to it, then nothing can actually break you. Nothing can break you, not even a whole bunch of money. Because a whole bunch of money sometimes breaks people. Know that. Don't be sleep. All right, so moving right along to Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Number 37 is the message from Sagittarius, or for Sagittarius. This is about kinship. Look at that. That doesn't look like family and ancestry. I don't know what does, but that's what it reminds me of. Family is the archetype of social community and a reflection of society. In a healthy family, the needs of each person are just as important as the group. So now in this situation, if we're talking about work and we're talking about money and we're talking about wealth, I know that there are some of you who are in business with your family or have family businesses. So if your family is in business together, it's reminding you of the kinship. It's the kinship that's going to bring the wealth in, and being able to honor every single person's role in the family. Now, if you're not talking about a family, if you're talking about your work family, the same is true. Everybody in that work family is bringing something to the table, and then you collectively are the force that's bringing the wealth. Now, sometimes people are going to say, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff for the family, work family, and I'm not getting any money at all. I'm getting, crumbles. Well, but that's the layout. So if you decide that this isn't the family, that this isn't the work family that you're looking for, or if this particular circle of people is not yielding what it is that you're looking for as far as your personal pocket, then you might need to change the family dynamic. Make some changes there. Okay. This goes, it says that a healthy family, the needs of each person are just important as those of the group. So the individual needs are met, and then the group needs are met. If that's not happening, then that's getting in the way of your Schmoney. All right. This goes for all groups as well. What I just said, trust and mutual acceptance must form an effective counterbalance to the authority of the person that leads. So you have leadership, and then each group has to feed that entity, because that entity is running things, that person is running things, or that board is running things. It just depends on where you're sitting. So whoever is in the position of leadership, and like I said, for some of you, it might be your CEO, it may be your father, your mother, it could be, whoever the executive director is, or, whoever it is. But those subgroups are feeding that person's processes, and also the processes of the organization as a whole, the vision, the mission, not the processes, but the vision, the mission, and the focus of the organization as a whole. So each subgroup should feed that. Now, if that's not happening, if you have issues within the groups, it's going to affect the bottom line, and everybody knows that. So depending on where you are in that mix, you have to see what your position is. You have to see if your individual needs are being met, including your personal needs are being met. If you're working and you're hustling and you're trying to keep the lights on in somebody else's place, but then in the meantime you don't have enough to take care of your own home, that's not the right kinship. The kinship isn't right. You may or may not be able to do anything about it, but you have to make a shift in order for it to manifest itself in your bank account. Do you understand? This sign is an invitation for you to recognize your own role in the group, family, or relationship, and fulfill it to the utmost. So figure out what your role is. It doesn't matter what your title is. Your role, your position, and fulfill it to the utmost. And that's important, because when you're doing what you're supposed to do by the Spirit, then everything will work out just fine. Ask yourself honestly whether openness, trust, and mutual support rule in these relationships. Express your feelings freely and openly and set a good example by living according to the group's ideals. So whatever it is that you said you wanted me to do, I'm going to do that. And I am going to take my full position, my spirit and my physical position, what you told me I was doing, and I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. And then supersede all the other that's going on in the circumference. Oof. I do understand your pain, Sagittarius. All right, so we've got the Hangman and the Star, which means that you are connecting to your star power. Now, your star power is where you came from. That's your star children. So when you're a star child, you connect to your star power. That means that supersedes everything else and all the BS. It doesn't matter what somebody is telling you on planet Earth. When you are connected to your star power, you already know what you're doing on planet Earth. You don't need anybody to explain it to you. So you go in and do your work, whether or not other people are doing their work or not. Do your part, and then you'll find yourself lifted, because see, your star will come and get you and lift you out. That's this Hanged Man letting go. Looks like it's time to let go, because it seems like to me, Sagittarius, you're juggling a lot of things, probably by yourself, or you're trying to do it all. Okay? Just do what it is you've been assigned to do, Sagittarius. And then after that, start to see how things move and how things shift, because then things will start to show themselves. But all of this, again, is connected to how you are able to access wealth in your paradigm. Okay? All right, so that is Get This Money for, where are we at? November 2019. Heading into November 2019. These are messages for that. I'll be doing this every month for your element, earth, air, fire, and water, doing the same breakdown so that we can kind of nudge ourselves toward our financial goals. And I would like to let you know also that if you need any other kind of healing work, this is about healing work too. We have to heal our finances just like we have to heal our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. So if your finances aren't right, if living life down here on planet Earth is a struggle for you, then it's time to heal that. So if you need healing work, reach out to me. I'm at Kerri, Kerri, at wooingnature.life. You can also go to the website and see what other services are available. As always, I hope you get your money, get your schmoney, and I hope you're having a wonderful life.